We often say things like this. This tradition is designed to protect the truth. We need these traditions because they protect the truth that we're about. But I just want to break some bad news to you, church. The truth does not need our protection. It doesn't need it. In fact, you're going to come, I'm going to go, you're going to go. We're all going to be gone for hundreds of years, and guess what's still going to be here? Say it with me. The truth. Yeah, it's survived every generation that's trying to ruin it up to this point. We don't need to protect the truth. Do you know what we need to do as a church? We need to proclaim the truth. But we're so busy trying to protect it as if it needs protection and that we somehow can protect it that we forgot to proclaim it. We forgot to let it loose. Because broken, lost people need to hear it, just like we did. But we're more concerned about our traditions than we are about truth. I love this quote by Charles Spurgeon about the Word of God, or truth, as we're talking. He says, the Word of God is like a lion. You don't have to defend a lion. All you have to do is let the lion loose, and the lion will defend itself. Church, we have this truth, and we often set up all these traditions that keep people that need to come in out because they don't understand them, or they can't meet them, or they can't follow them in the same way. And there's nothing wrong with traditions. We're always going to create traditions, but sometimes we cling to traditions in such a way that it prevents us from accomplishing the mission in which we were given. Jesus loved to break traditions for the sake of a lost and hurting person. He never broke the truth, but he frequently broke traditions. When we elevate traditions to obedience to God, we fall into these deceptions. When we raise a man-made tradition to the level of obedience to God, we fall into this empty deceit that Paul is talking about. Any church traditions that we do this with, they're not wrong in themselves. Traditions aren't wrong in themselves, but they become wrong when we elevate them to the place of truth. So when we say that a certain style of music is required to really be healthy or good music, we make a requirement that Jesus didn't make. If Jesus didn't require a certain style of music, and we suddenly do, then we've elevated a tradition to the place of a truth, and we have fallen to a philosophical, deceitful, man-made tradition. When we elevate a style of preaching that Jesus didn't follow himself, we elevate a tradition to a place of a God-given truth, and we follow into this hollow, deceptive philosophy. When we elevate our groups and how we even do groups to a way that Jesus didn't do groups, this hits home a little bit. We fall into a hollow deception. When we elevate how we decorate our sanctuaries in a way that Jesus didn't decorate his sanctuaries, or did he even have them? We elevate our traditions, nothing wrong with them, but when we say this is how it has to be, we elevate a man-made tradition to a truth, and we fall and prey to the very things that Paul is talking about. If Jesus didn't use the same Bible translation that we use, but by golly, if you don't use this translation, you're not truly following Jesus Christ. This is almost laughable to me, because what we complain about in English translations is like a sliver of the difference in English, and there's some bad English translations, don't get me wrong, but when we get into these kinds of things, you're talking about a gap that's about this big between all the English translations, whereas if you really feel like one translation is the best, then your argument would take you from throwing away the English and going back to the original languages, because there's more lost from the original languages of Greek and Hebrew to any English translation than there is between any of the English translations. And yet those people that complain about it don't go back. They don't even follow their own advice. because it's hollow, it's empty, it's deceitful. And when we raise man-made traditions to the level of God's truth, then we are the very deceivers that Paul is warning his church about. Human traditions can often be every bit as damaging as the philosophies that come in from outside, because we often are aware of those out there. It's the ones that are right here inside that Paul was warning them about.